Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm going to talk today about when you go to the Eiffel Tower in France, when you visit France. Hope you guys have a good time. Hope you guys enjoy the place. Seems like a great place to visit. But when you go, please remember the brave French soldiers that fought in the Korean War. Okay? France did amazing things in the Korean War. They also did amazing things in the American Revolution. That's a different video. But France did amazing things in the Korean War. They sent their Navy and their Army to the Korean War. Okay? The Navy, the French Navy, they sent a ship called the La Grandière. That was the name of the ship. And the La Grandière fought in the Battle of Incheon. The Battle of Incheon was the turning point of the Korean War. Before the Battle of Incheon, North Korea was winning most of the battles of the Korean War. But the Battle of Incheon turned the tide of the Korean War. It changed the Korean War a lot, where the U.S. and South Korean forces, and also forces from France, UK, Canada, they started winning more battles. And the La Grandière participated in the Battle of Incheon. They shot a lot of cannons and a lot of guns on the shores of Incheon. They fired at North Korean troops. And because of that, the United States soldiers and the United States Marines were able to go to the beaches of Incheon safely. And very few U.S. soldiers and U.S. Marines died on the beaches of Incheon because the French Navy shot their guns at many of the North Korean soldiers that were defending the beaches of Incheon. So God bless the French Navy for that. Also, the French Army came to the Korean War. The French Army sent one battalion, and the battalion was commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Montclair. The Korean word for Lieutenant Colonel is Jung-ryung. And he was general, but he decided to become Lieutenant Colonel so he could go to the Korean War and help keep South Korea free. So Ralph Montclair became a lower rank to go fight in the Korean War. And he was very physically fit. He was in very good shape. He could run very fast, climb many hills, and shoot lots of guns. And he was almost 60 years old at that time. He was almost 60 years old, but he still could fight very well. And the French Army was a major reason that Wonju was not controlled by North Korea for very long. The French Army fought very well in the Battle of Wonju, and they stopped the North Koreans and the Chinese many times at the Battle of Wonju. Also, the French Army fought well in the battles of Chip-Yong-Ni and the battles of Twin Tunnels. And when those battles were fought, a lot of times the French soldiers could not dig a hole in the ground. They could not dig a foxhole for them to sleep in. They could not dig a hole. They had to fight on flat ground because the ground was so icy and so cold they could not get their shovels and dig under the ice. But the French soldiers still fought very well. They were not scared of the Chinese and the North Korean soldiers. The Chinese soldiers used a lot of horns and a lot of drums to be very intimidating, to try to scare the French soldiers. But anytime the Chinese soldiers blew a horn, the French soldiers blew a horn right back at them to show the Chinese soldiers, we're not scared of you, we are going to defeat you. And the French soldiers usually defeated the Chinese soldiers. When they could not shoot their guns anymore, when their guns ran out of bullets, they put a bayonet on their gun. They attached a knife on their gun. Speaking in many different audiences here, the knife is called bayonet, and they charged the Chinese soldiers with bayonet on their rifles. And the French soldiers usually won against them. And the commander of the UN forces at that time was Matthew Bunker Ridgway. First it was General Douglas MacArthur, but then it was U.S. Army General Matthew Bunker Ridgway. And Matthew Bunker Ridgway instructed the American soldiers to fight like the French soldiers in the Korean War. He told the U.S. soldiers, if you're going to use your bayonets for your guns, to use them like the French soldiers used them. Because the French soldiers were very good and very effective with the bayonet. The French soldiers did not have a lot of good equipment, though. They only had about 18 trucks and 44 jeeps. but the French soldiers had high levels of confidence. So the French soldiers believed they were always going to defeat the Chinese and the North Korean soldiers, and the French soldiers usually did. That is why the United States government was very impressed with the way the French soldiers fought. The U.S. soldiers, the U.S. Army, and the U.S. government were very impressed that they gave the French soldiers a medal called the Presidential Unit Citation. And that's a very high medal to get, and it's a huge honor when a non-American country gets that medal. So God bless the French soldiers for that. So, hope everybody's doing well. Take care, and God bless these brave French sailors from the French Navy and French soldiers from the French Army that came to South Korea and helped keep South Korea free. Hope everybody's doing well. Take care. God bless, and bye-bye. Bye-bye.